Hello everybody, it's me, Liz Marie, and I'm gonna go over my June books, what I read in June. This is gonna be the June wrap up. So yeah, let's just get right into that. Alright, the first book that I read for the month of June is Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno Garcia. It has a 3.62 average on Goodreads, and I gave it 3 stars. Let's say. Montserrat has always been overlooked. She's a talented sound editor, but she's left out of the boys' club running the film industry in 90s Mexico City. And she's all but invisible to her best friend Tristan, a charming if faded soap opera star, though she's been in love with him since childhood. Then Tristan discovers his new neighbor is the cult horror director Abel Urueta, and the legendary auteur claims he can change their lives, even if his tale of Nazi occultist imbuing magic is highly volatile silver nitrate stock sounds like sheer fantasy. The magic film was never finished, which is why Urueta swears his career vanished overnight. He is cursed. Now the director wants Montserrat and Tristan to help him shoot the missing scene and lift the curse. But Montserrat soon notices a dark presence following her, and Tristan begins seeing the ghost of his ex-girlfriend. As they work together to unravel the mystery of the film and the obscure occultist who once roamed their city, Montserrat and Tristan may find the sorcerers and magic are not only the stuff of movies. So, I've read from this author before. I love Mexican Gothic. It was really great. I think that one was a 5-star read for me. So going into this one, I knew it was a different vibe completely just going into it because one's occult themed with like the film industry taking place in Mexico. So all 3 of those things had my interests. I don't know, there was just something missing for me in this book while I was reading it for it to be more than a 3-star read. And yeah, so Montserrat and Tristan, they're best friends. And Montserrat's been like obsessed with films since she was a kid. So, and the director that Tristan ends up being neighbors to is like one of the ones that she loved since she was a kid. Like she remembers watching their films and stuff with Tristan. So they get involved with him in the occult stuff, trying to finish this film, and then they start getting harassed by the people involved in the cult and the magic. And things start happening, which I thought was very fascinating. I just wish more happened, if you get my gist. Like there was definitely some aspects to it that were definitely like creepy and horrific, and like you wouldn't want to be a part of it, obviously. But I just wish it pushed the envelope a little bit more. I wanted just a little bit more. And like just descriptor wise, I don't know, the book just came out just middle of the way for me, 3 stars. It's still good. I still enjoyed the whole story and the concept of using silver nitrate film for magic. I thought that was very unique. And I have a thing for, you know, old films and classic films, so like I thought I would love this more. And yeah, that's that. Then the next book I read is To Cage a God by Elizabeth May. 3.3 average on Goodreads. What do I want to rate this? I didn't put the rating in. Do I want to rate this a 3? I feel like it could be a 3.5. 3.5 to 4-star. Maybe. To be divine is to rule is to destroy. Using ancient secrets, Galena and Sarah's mother grafted gods into their bones. Bound to brutal deities and granted forbidden power no commoner has held in a millennia, the sisters have grown up to become living weapons. Raised to overthrow an empire, no matter the cost, with their mother gone and their country on the brink of war, it falls to the sisters to take the helm of the rebellion and the cruel reign of a royal family possessed by destructive gods. Because when the ruling Alluria invade, they conquer with fire and blood, and when they clash, common folk burn. While Sarah reunites with her estranged lover turned violent rebel leader, Galena infiltrates the palace. In this world of deception and danger, her only refuge is an isolated princess whose whip-smart tongue and sharp gaze threaten to uncover Galena's secret. Torn between desire and duty, Galena must make a choice. Work together to expose the lies of the Empire, or bring it all down. I definitely enjoyed this book more, as I recall, than Silver Nitrate. So maybe I'll give it 4 stars. It has sapphic love between Galena and the princess. It has like normal love with Sarah and her husband that she basically ran away from and hasn't seen in years. So there's the reunion with that. And basically the Empress, because the Emperor died at the beginning of this story, the Empress is like a crazed, manic ruler, and she can't be stopped. So Galena is basically under her rule, because like they said, okay, the Hellooooo, I don't know how to say it correctly. Hellooooo are people who are like royalty, who are born with the deities in their bodies. So Sarah and Galena are commoners, which no commoner has ever been born with those deities a part of them. So like they said, the mom did experiments, and through a painful process they got the deities attached to them, and then Galena goes to the Empress and displays her powers as a person, like a long lost royal girl who was raised by commoners. So that's the lie that she gets herself into the palace. And then they have their other friend who's the Empress's handmaiden, and they're trying to do their plan as quickly as possible to get rid of the Empress, remove her from power before she kills more people and the handmaidens, because apparently her handmaidens don't last longer than a few years sometimes, because she just kills them by accident in rage. So she's basically like the Queen of Hearts, off with their heads kind of vibe, you know? But I really enjoyed the relationships that were developed in this, the events that took place. And I actually did really enjoy this first book in the series. I don't know if it's going to be a duology or a trilogy, but These Monstrous Gods, book 1, I liked it. Okay, next book I read is Last to Leave the Room by Caitlin Starling, 3.52 average rating. I gave the book 3 stars. The city of San Sirocco is sinking. The basement of Dr. Tamsin Rivers, the arrogant, selfish head of the research team assigned to find the source of the subsidence, is sinking faster. As Tamsin grows obsessed with the distorting dimensions of the room at the bottom of the stairs, she finds a door that didn't exist before. And one night it opens to reveal an exact physical copy of her. This doppelganger is sweet and biddable, where Tamsin is calculating and cruel. It appears fully, terribly human, passing every test Tamsin can devise. But the longer the double exists, the more Tamsin begins to forget pieces of her life, to lose track of time, to grow terrified of the outside world. As her employer grows increasingly suspicious, Tamsin must try to hold herself together long enough to figure out what her double wants from her and just where the mysterious door leads. So, I like the whole idea with the doppelganger, and it's supposed to be a horror book. I got it with the Lumicrate Evernight subscription. So, yeah, horror. Like a sci-fi horror, because like alternate dimension, I guess, but you don't really get to explore that part through the door. You don't really know what's on the other side, which I kind of wish they explored that more within the book. I would have really liked that. So Tamsin's the scientist trying to figure out what's happening to the city. And then this door appears. She tries to open it, she can't open it. Then one day it just opens out of nowhere and her doppelganger comes through. But like as it described, like the doppelganger seems sweet at first. But as time goes on and Tamsin kind of lowers her guard and starts including her doppelganger in more of her research, doppelganger basically takes over her life. And the only one that notices that it's not her is her employer, the handler. which they tried to make there be like some romance between them. I think the handler went by they, them, if I am remembering correctly. But it didn't work, in my opinion. There wasn't enough moments between them for that to make sense. Like, I could tell that's where the author was going with the subtle little moments that they did, but it wasn't enough, in my opinion, to make that attraction like believable. So there's like that aspect to it. I wish that had been built better if they wanted to include that in the story. Also, there was like the doppelganger of the cat also. That went nowhere. Like, the doppelganger just disappeared. And yeah. I don't know why I thought it was going to end up being like more doppelgangers coming out of the door in her basement for some reason. But I did like the whole concept of this book. I think it would make a fun movie. I don't know if there's already been a movie like that. I can't recall one at the moment, but I think that one. I think Silver Nitrate also could make like a really good movie. Like, translate better, like visually, than reading it. I don't know. Still enjoyable. 3 stars. Then I read Dune by Frank Herbert. Average rating 4.27. Gave this book 3 stars also. Set on the desert planet Arrakis, Dune is the story of the boy Paul Atreides, heir to a noble family tasked with ruling an inhospitable world where the only thing of value is the spice melange, a drug capable of extending life and enhancing consciousness. Coveted across the known universe, melange is a prize worth killing for. When House Atreides is betrayed, the destruction of Paul's family will set the boy on a journey toward a destiny greater than he could ever have imagined. And as he evolves into a mysterious man known as Muad'Dib, he will bring to fruition humankind's most ancient, unattainable dream. So, I love sci-fi. So I was like, you know what? I watched Dune 1 and 2 of the movies, and then I really enjoyed those movies. And I was like, I'm interested in reading the book. So I read the book. And the book is a chonker. It's like real thick. And just kind of dense, which is why it's a 3 stars. It's not my favorite sci-fi read. But I mean, I think I just enjoy more fun sci-fi, like not Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of the name? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I also like the first book in The Expanse. I haven't read more in that series yet. I plan to. But I really enjoyed that first book also. But they both had a little more humor and fun aspects to it. So maybe that's more of the sci-fi I need to lean into. But I mean, I'm still going to probably give the second book a chance, because it did get 3 stars. I did enjoy the story. And there's a lot of aspects in the, not a lot, would it be a lot? A few aspects in the book that are not included in the movie at all. Like, they just cut it out, and they also rearranged the timeline. So the way events happen in the book didn't exactly pan out that way in the movie. I still enjoyed the movies. I think this is like one of those cases where I actually like the movies more than the book. But that could be because I read the book after the movies. Also, I'm sure this is the case in a lot of fantasy, science fiction books. Like, I couldn't help but notice, like, the culture of the Middle East being, like, heavily inspired. Dune heavily inspired by, like, the dress and all that. So I found that interesting. I don't know, because I didn't grow up in that culture, so I want to know how people feel about that. But yeah, I should watch maybe some TikToks on it. Read some articles. The next book that I read was The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. Has average rating 4.11 on Goodreads, and I gave it 4 stars. This is a YA. I don't read YA often, and actually I really enjoyed it. 3 girls, 1 supernatural killer on the loose. Zara Jones believes in magic because the alternative is too painful to consider. That her murdered sister is gone forever and there is nothing she can do about it. Rather than grieving and moving on, Zara decides she will do whatever it takes to claw her sister back from the grave, even trading in the occult. Jude Wolfe, may be the daughter of a billionaire, but she is also undeniably cursed. After a deal with the demon went horribly wrong, her soul has been slowly turning necrotic. It's a miserable existence marred by pain, sickness, and monstrous things that taunt her in the night. Now that she's glimpsed what's beyond the veil, Jude's desperate to find someone to undo the damage she's done to herself. Enter... Is it? Emir Byrne? Emmy. I don't know how to say her name. An orphaned witch with a dark past and deadly power, aka the solution to both Zara's and Jude's problems. Though Emir lives a hand-scrabble life, she gives away her most valuable asset, her invocations, to women in desperate situations who are willing to sacrifice a piece of their soul in exchange for a scrap of power. Zara and Jude are willing, but they first have to find... I really wish I knew. It's E-M-E-R. I'm pretty sure I listened to the audiobook while I was reading this, and I can't remember how... Emma? When Emma's clients start turning up dead all over London, a vital clue leads Zara and Jude right to her. If a serial killer is targeting her clients, Emma wants to know why and to stop them. She strikes a tenuous alliance with Zara and Jude to hunt a killer before they are next on his list, even if she can't give them in return what Zara and Jude want most, a sister and a soul. So, I really, really enjoyed the interactions between each of the characters. I felt like each of the characters stood well enough on their own to where, like, if it's multiple POV, like, I could tell which person I was reading from, their perspective. I really enjoyed that. My favorite character is Jude. I just enjoyed their humor and just the way they, even through all the, like, the pain and suffering, like, they still had room for, like, that humor. And they were always hitting on the other women that would show up in this, and I just found it funny. It was, like, nice, like, comedy break between all, like, the seriousness. Like, Zara's, like, seriously trying to perform necromancy to bring back her sister, even though her sister has been dead a year, which is, like, crazy. And just the whole thing with the witches and the shenanigans, and then there being the aspect of, like, the serial killer going after all these women who got invocations to help them through desperate situations. I overall really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the way it ended. It was a good YA. I would recommend it. Another book I read is Outline by Rachel Cusk. 3.68 average rating. I didn't rate it at the time. Oops. Didn't rate it at the time. So I'm going to read the synopsis and see if that jogs my noggin what, like, I feel about this. Okay, a woman writer goes to Athens in the height of summer to teach a writing course. Though her own circumstances remain indistinct, she becomes the audience to a chain of narratives, as the people she meets tell her one after another the stories of their lives, beginning with the neighboring passenger on the flight out and his tales of fast boats and failed marriages. The storytellers talk of their loved ones and ambitions and pains, their anxieties, their perceptions and daily lives. In the stifling heat and noise of the city, the sequence of voice begins to weave a complex human tapestry. The more they talk, the more elliptical their listener becomes as she shapes and directs their accounts, until certain themes become to emerge. The experience of loss, the nature of family life, the difficulty of intimacy, and the mystery of creativity itself. Outline is a novel about writing and talking, about self-effacement and self-expression, about the desire to create and the human art of self-portraiture, in which that desire finds its universal form. I think this book also got 3 stars for me. I'm interested in reading the next 2 books in this little trilogy. The books aren't super long. I believe this one's 200 and something pages. I enjoyed it. I think she is teaching abroad, and so yeah, she's in her class, her workshop, and, like, there's just all the students, and one by one she'll give them, like, a topic or a prompt, and that's how she finds out this information about each one of them. And then the tentative friendship, she strikes up with the man on the plane. She goes out boating with him, And to be honest, I'm not surprised at all where it went. Like, he eventually tried to basically hit on her, kiss her and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm definitely not surprised that that's where this narrative went in that sense. It's like an older, lonely man. Not saying that older, lonely man can't be content to be by themselves, but I had a feeling in this story that's where that was going to go. I enjoyed the different aspects of it and what each minor character added to the story. Another book I read in the month of June. Oh, the battery on this is about to die. I'll be right back. And I'm back with a new battery. And I'm sweating in my apartment. It's so hot. Ooh. I turned off the AC so I wouldn't have the noise in the background. It's like, and I decided to put a long sleeve on. Like, that was smart. But I was just feeling this color today. But as I was saying, I feel like this camera is just being an ass. Like, stop giving me issues. Even though it was my fault, I pressed the wrong button. I read Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Average rating, 4.19 on Goodreads. Gave it 4 stars. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I believe it's a trilogy, Between Earth and Sky. That was book 1. And I think the 3rd book came out this year. So I should get to reading the rest of them since I did give it 4 stars. That's a clear indication that I really did enjoy this book. The first book in the Between Earth and Sky trilogy, inspired by the civilizations of the pre-Columbian Americas and woven into a tale of celestial prophecies, political intrigue, and forbidden magic. A god will return. When the earth and sky converge under the black sun in the holy city of Tova, the winter solstice is usually a time for celebration and renewal, but this year it coincides with the solar eclipse, a rare celestial event prescribed by the sun priest as an unbalancing of the world. Meanwhile, a ship launches from a distant city bound for Tova and set to arrive on the solstice. The captain of this ship, Jyla, is disgraced Teak, whose song can calm the waters around her as easily as it can warp a man's mind. Her ship carries 1 passenger. Described as harmless, the passenger Serapio is a young man, blind, scarred, and cloaked in destiny. As Jyla well knows, when a man is described as harmless, he usually ends up being a villain. So I really liked this entire story. I really enjoyed it. A+. Not a 5-star, but 4 stars. Pretty good. Maybe the next books promise to be better, most likely. Usually the first book of a trilogy gets a 3-star for me, so this one's on a pretty good start. 4 stars. So, like, it opens with Serapio and his mother at home, and it unfolds the events of how he became a blind, scarred man, and what his destiny is supposed to be, and then jumps to the future with Jyla being a captain of a boat, and then him being on it. And during their journey on the boat to Tova, I really liked how their relationship to each other unfolded, and they kind of created this bond. I really enjoyed that a lot. And then there's the aspect of the people of Tova, and they have like the sun priest, I believe it was. So they have like this priesthood, and they have their own space, and they lead the people, and there's different, I don't want to say covens because they're not witches. Tribes? Was it tribes? Yeah. So like, I can't remember the tribes names. There's like 4 different ones, I believe, and they all the leaders have to listen to the sun priest. And then there's issues within that, like animosities and stuff, and plots and ploys that unfold. And yeah, I don't want to try and give spoilers, but I endorse this book. If you haven't already read it, it's very good. I just feel so mellow today, like I'm boring. I'm sorry, guys. The next book I read is Annie Bot by Sierra Greer. Average rating is 3.83. I gave it 3 stars. A lot of 3 stars lately. I mean, it's better than being a 2-star, because that means I didn't really enjoy the book. At least 3-star means I liked it, you know? Annie Bot was created to be the perfect girlfriend for her human owner, Doug. Designed to satisfy his emotional and physical needs, she has dinner ready for him every night, wears the cute outfits he orders for her, and adjusts her libido to suit his moods. True, she's not the greatest at keeping Doug's place spotless, but she's trying to please him. She's trying hard. She's learning too. Doug says he loves that Annie's artificial intelligence makes her seem more like a real woman, but the more human Annie becomes, the less perfectly she behaves. As Annie's relationship with Doug grows more intricate and difficult, she starts to wonder whether Doug truly desires what he says he does. In such an impossible paradox, what does Annie owe herself? So, she's a robot, Annie, and I feel like my brain can't compute right now. But I feel like this book definitely explores the relationship between a man and a woman in place of like an AI robot as the woman. And things that you would think like a basic man, like a typical man would want, like someone to do the house cleaning, do the cooking, please them whenever they want, like the perfect woman, you know? But the actions that Doug does to Annie are very, like, emotionally abusive. So it was a little hard to read this book at times, just from, like, even if you don't have personal experience, just being a woman, it was a lot. And then at the end, she does figure out what she truly wants and to be herself and gains that freedom. So that's what I'm gonna say on that book, because yeah, it was a hard read in my opinion. I enjoyed it. Gave it 3 stars. I don't know if I should bump it up to 4 stars. I feel quite removed from reading this book though, because it's almost the end of July already and I didn't do my wrap-up, so I need to do these wrap-ups sooner so it's easier for me to think of my thoughts on these books. I'm not saying like all men are like that, because that's definitely not the case. It's just, I feel like this book, like the fantasy of the perfect woman in a relationship. But they even do therapy in this book, and even as Doug's trying to do better, I don't know. The way the author navigates the relationship through Annie and how she's changing throughout time, the more she learns and processes the things around her and realizing that this isn't what she wants. It's quite a good book. Maybe it is 4 stars. The next book that I read for the month of June was A Lady for a Duke, Happy Pride by Alexis Hall, 4.07. Rating, I gave it a 3-star. It could have been like lower, but I did enjoy it for the most part. There's just some things that I didn't like about this story. So, synopsis. A lush, sweeping queer historical romance from the best-selling author of Boyfriend Material, perfect for fans of Netflix. Bridgerton did not like Bridgerton. Evie Dunmore and Amanda Collins. When Viola Carroll was presumed dead at Waterloo, she took the opportunity to live, at last, as herself. But freedom does not come without a price, and Viola paid hers with the loss of her wealth, her title, and her closest companion, Justin de Vere, the Duke of Gracewood. Only when their families reconnect years after the war does Viola learn how deep that loss truly was. Shattered without her, Gracewood has retreated so far into grief that Viola barely recognizes her old friend in the lonely, brooding man he has become. As Viola strives to bring Gracewood back to himself, fresh desire gives new names to old feelings, feelings that would have been impossible once and may be impossible still, but which Viola cannot deny, even if they cost her everything all over again. So, I enjoyed the first half of this book, up until the point where the focus kind of shifted from Viola and Gracewood and their relationship and more so focused on what was happening with his sister, and I just feel like it wasn't needed. That pulled me out of the story because I just wanted more focus on Viola and Gracewood and their relationship and how that was developing, how they were navigating their relationship in a new way to what it was before, because Viola is trans and Gracewood knew her as a man before he lost him in the war, and Viola came out as Viola, as who they always thought they were. And so there was like the thing, like those feelings, their love for each other was probably already there, like beforehand, but obviously they're in a society where like you marry a woman. I mean, it's a historical novel. So I kind of like suspended my belief a little bit for this because it's a historical novel and I don't, maybe there could be accounts of trans women. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. But anyways, when Gracewood finally finds out who Viola really is and is pissed, you know, I think he took a little, I don't think there was enough time given in the pages to explore those feelings and to get to that point of acceptance to where he doesn't want to lose Viola again. And I feel like it would have been nice if we just like cut out the part where we focused on what was happening with the sister and just expanded upon maybe a little bit more on that, and then Viola processing her own feelings and them coming back together, and then getting a little bit more time for them to explore that relationship and then get to the point where they want to be together. I don't know. It just felt rushed to me. So that's what I mainly didn't like about it. I wanted to spend more time with them getting to re-know each other in a new light kind of thing. So the sister thing kind of just threw me out. So the second half of the book, I was like, meh. I was expecting maybe a 4-star book, and when I started it, and then by the end I was like, eh. Still a good book. I just got thrown out of the story, and I just wish we just spent more time focusing on the relationship. And then navigating them society, that wasn't a sentence, and them navigating being in public society as a couple, I think would have been nice also, because we didn't really get to see that either. The last book I read for the month of June was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, 4.14 on Goodreads. I think I want to give this 3 stars also. Yeah, I don't know. I like put this on my TBR because I forgot that the Apple TV was coming out with the show, and I wanted to watch the show, and then I was like, wait, but it's a book, and I've been wanting to read the book since like last year, I think. So I was like, I might as well read it now and then start the show. I only watched 1 episode so far, but what's the synopsis? Jason Desson is walking home through the chilly Chicago streets one night, looking forward to a quiet evening in front of the fireplace with his wife Daniela and their son Charlie, when his reality shatters. Are you happy with your life? Those are the last words Jason Desson hears before the masked abductor knocks him unconscious, before he awakens to find himself strapped to a gurney surrounded by strangers in hazmat suits, before a man Jason's never met smiles down at him and says, "Welcome back, my friend." In this world he's woken up to, Jason's life is not the one he knows. His wife is not his wife. His son was never born. And Jason is not an ordinary college physics professor, but a celebrated genius who has achieved something remarkable, something impossible. Is it this world or the other that's the dream? And even if the home he remembers is real, how can Jason possibly make it back to the family he loves? The answers lie in the journey more wondrous and horrifying than anything he could have imagined. One that will force him to confront the darkest parts of himself, even as he battles a terrifying, seemingly unbeatable foe. Dark Matter is a brilliantly plotted tale that is once sweeping and intimate, mind-bendingly strange, and profoundly human. A relentlessly surprising science fiction thriller about choice, paths not taken, and how far we'll go to claim the lives we dream of. You know what? I'm giving 4 stars now that I'm thinking about it more. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if this is a spoiler because it wasn't necessarily in the synopsis, so if you want to skip, you can. But, so yeah, he's knocked out, but guess who knocked him out? It's him. From that alternate universe, wanting the life that he missed out on because he chose his career over love. Whereas the Jason Destin we started with chose love over his career. And then it's just like a really intense, thrilling story of him going through different dimensions, trying to get back to the Daniela he knows and loves. He encounters other Danielas throughout this story, but they're not his Daniela. And he wants to be with him, her, and his son. And then, I feel like there was a plot twist in here that I should have saw coming, but I didn't. I didn't see it coming at all, which I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I love when I don't see the plot, like, coming at all. Even if it should be obvious or it's obvious to other people, sometimes it's not obvious to me. And I enjoyed the book 10 times more because of it. So, 4 stars. I watched the first episode and I already noticed some changes, so. But I mean, the author was a part of getting this show going, so I'm gonna trust that they were approved by him. But yeah, that's that. All right, y'all, that was all the books I read for June. I'm gonna try to get this up as soon as possible, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hoping to get some 5 stars sooner rather than later. I'm getting a lot of 3 stars here, just a lot of middle of the road. Like, I still like you, but I don't love you. You know, I want to get a love. I want to love my books. Yeah, anyways, see you in the next one. Bye-bye.